In this video, I'm going to show you how I answered one of David Bombal's BGP T-shoot troubleshooting lab. So yeah, this is the topology here. We have R1, R2, and R3. And they are all in AS 65000. And R1 has this loopback IP address, R2 has this loopback IP address, and R3 has this loopback IP address. And of course, this is the subnet between R1 and R2, and this is the subnet between R2 and R3. So the first issue is routing is not working. So the problem is I actually already watched David's Bombal videos. You know, the where he answered, you know, the labs. So that's why I was able to compile the commands. But this is the steps that you should actually do when you are going to answer the labs yourself. So routing is not working. The R2 is not learning the routes from R1 via BGP because of the incorrect network statements. That's the problem discussed in part 1 video. And part 3, he just explains how you can prevent or how you can get rid of the web failures from the BGP table. So that's what he did, and of course, you know, he did other things aside from that, but that's what basically he did on his part 2 video. And this is how basically he answered the video. I mean the lab himself. So I just took note of how he did it. So you can actually follow this as well if you want to do the lab yourself. Alright, so let me go to R1, or actually R2. R1 and R2. So let's do show iBGP summary. It says here. So from R1, this is R1, as you can see here. R2 is not learning any routes from R1, so 0. So if you show iBGP route, you don't see the R1 loopback IP address from the routing table. And of course, you won't see it from the BGP table as well. And if you are going to ping it, you should not be able to ping it. And if you go to R1 and do a show iBGP, it's not being advertised. And if you do show IP route, well, it's it's in the routing table because it is directly connected, and it says here, but it's not being advertised via BGP. So the problem is the network statements. So this is the command that you should use to verify the network statements configuration. So and this as well is not being advertised. I mean that subnet as well is not being advertised via BGP. So you have that, and it's not, we have this RIP failure. Okay. Well, it is directly connected because it is directly, it is, in the routing table via connected, as connected, directly connected, but it's not being advertised like I already mentioned in BGP. Alright, so to fix that, you have to go into the BGP routing BGP configuration, and just fix the subnet mask. So we have this subnet mask, and we should have this subnet mask as well. Okay, save. Okay, now it's being advertised. Yes, it's here. But before it wasn't, right? We go back again. Yeah. So RIP failure. Just here. R. And our R1 loopback IP is being advertised as well. So here and here by the local router. That's why you see 0.0.0.0. Okay, problem 1 solved. Routing is not working. Let's go to problem number 2, RIP failure. So as you can see here, R1 has an iBGP peering with R2, and R2 should have iBGP peering with R1 and R3. So this is R3 IP address here. Okay, but the problem with that is that R1 does not learn does not learn about R3 loopback and vice versa because of the rule stated above. So basically, iBGP learned routes cannot be advertised onto another iBGP neighbor. So let's verify this. R1 show iBGP. Yeah, it's not learning R3 loopback address, which is this loopback address. And if you go to R3, show iBGP, R3 is not learning R1 loopback IP address either. So to fix this, you will need to configure full mesh iBGP peerings between R1 and R3. So basically, all the routers should be neighbors. So that's why fully meshed iBGP peerings on routers. And you can also configure router reflectors on R2. That's one of the options, and of course configuration. But configuration is a little harder to configure, and we are not going to configure that on this video. So we are going to do this. We are going to have a fully meshed iBGP peerings between the routers. So from R1, I'm going to, I will just copy and paste this. So you will have iBGP peering with R3. Save. And from R3, you will have iBGP peering with R1. And of course, R2, has BGP peering with R1 and R3 already. But the problem here is that we don't have iBGP protocol configured on routers. So if we go to R1 and ping the R3 IP address, we cannot ping it. And if we go to R3, it says BGP up, but can we ping it? No, we cannot. So that's why we need to enable an IDP on, in this case, OSPF on routers. So, and I understand that you need to have layer 3 connectivity. For example, if R1 is going to have iBGP peering with R3, layer 3 connectivity is required. So that's why it says here static or IGP should be configured on routers. So that's what we are going to do on the next step. So we are going to configure OSPF or IGP on R1 and add, and basically enable it on on loopback IP address, on loopback here, loopback, and on the physical interface. Okay, and we are going to do same on R2. Oops. So of course this is wildcard mask, and we are going to do this on R3. Let's going to fix this because I'm going to add this in the description of the video. Alright, so I'm going to save the configs. And R3. Okay, let's see if R1 can ping R3 now. The IP address is, go back to 10.1.2.2. Okay, R1 can ping R3 physical address. Let's see if it can ping R3 loopback address. It can ping that as well. And let me also check the routing table. So now R3 loopback address is being learned via OSPF because OSPF has lower administrative distance compared to BGP, and it's learning the R3 physical address as well, and of course R2 loopback address as well. Let me do show IP BGP. So here R2 loopback address is RIB failure, so meaning that this route is installed in the routing table via OSPF because, like I said, OSPF has a lower administrative distance compared to BGP, and that's also this route is the same situation, and this route as well. So R2 loopback address, R3 loopback address, and this route. So 10.1.2, yeah, it's being learned via OSPF. Alright, so let's go to R3. R3 and see if we can ping R1 loopback address. We can ping it, and R1 physical address. Of course, we can ping it, and we can show IP route. R1 loopback address is being learned via OSPF. R2 loopback address is being learned via OSPF, and this subnet is this is the subnet between R1 and R2 is being learned via OSPF. And if we show IP BGP, those routes should be RIB failures in the BGP table. So R1 loopback is RIB failure. R2 loopback is RIB failure, and this here is RIB failure because this is already in the routing table via OSPF here, and the same as this subnet, because 10.1.2 is actually locally, directly connected route, right? This route here. Okay, so what's next? Remove RIB failures by removing loopback routes in the OSPF process. So we saw that this subnet here is it? No, not that one. Go to R3. Yeah, this subnet here is RIB failure on R3, and we go to R1. This subnet here is RIB failure on R1. So we are going to do these commands so we can check if BGP will advertise these routes. So removing R1 loopback address from the OSPF process, and removing R3 loopback address from the OSPF process. To show OSPF. Okay, I do not actually verify if that route was in the OSPF process, but I believe it was. Let me go to R1. Yeah, I've already removed it also. OSPF. Alright, so OSPF is only enabled on R1 physical address and R2 physical address. So here. And R1 here. Alright, so next. So check if routes are now being learned via OSPF. Yeah, I actually did configure this on, this was in the OSPF process, because when we check here, let's go to R1. Yeah, here it was the R3 loopback address was being learned by R1 via OSPF process, via OSPF. And if we go to R3, see, yeah, so R1 loopback address was being learned by R3 via OSPF process, you know, the O there. Okay, so, and save, and save. So now we can check if routes are now being learned via OSPF. So going to check on R1. So R3 loopback address is now being learned by R1 via BGP, here B. And it's the RIB the RIP failure should not, should have been, should disappeared. Yeah. So yeah, the R3 loopback is now in. It's not a RIP failure anymore in the BGP table. And if we go to R3 as well, R1 is now being learned via BGP, and if we show BGP, iBGP, it's now RIP failure is gone. So that's working as expected. Alright, so like I said, I'm going to add these commands or these steps in the description of this video. So I hope that you found this informative. So yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.